The best time to dream big is when everything has fallen apart. I'd like to speak directly to all the performers who are watching. My name is Hassan, and I never made it to Broadway. The truth is, I quit. They used to call me the king. No, not Elvis. The king of the callback. In my performing career, I was always at a callback. I was at callbacks I had no business being at. I was at callbacks for things I hadn't even auditioned for. Casting offices would call me and be like, "We're having callbacks Wednesday, want to come?" And I'd be like, "Hell yeah." It was just my portion at the time. I'd been around long enough for people to know who I am and have an idea of what I did. Same four monologues, same book, same variation of the dance combo. I was always there, but I would rarely book. Part of it felt like a numbers game. In my mind, if I just showed up to enough callbacks and did well enough, there'd be some golden mathematical ratio where something would have to give and I would eventually be on a winning streak, booking all the things. It didn't really work out that way, and at some point, it just started to feel like a cruel joke. I'd been told my entire career that talented people got callbacks, so if I had nothing else, I had that. They keep calling me, so it can't be because I'm not talented, right? I'm in the room where it happens. It's just not happening for me. It's not personal. It's business. It's show business. But how is it actually not personal? How is it possible to not internalize every no, every pass, every offhanded comment made from behind the table? As an artist, your job is to give the most valuable parts of yourself. But what's the difference between giving of yourself and breaking yourself? It took my being broken to understand the difference. One day, I was leaving the bathroom at my retail job at the time, which had notoriously heavy 300-pound doors. As I swung the bathroom door open, it came off the hinges. My body absorbed the initial impact, and I was then pinned between the door and the frame for 20 minutes before anyone found me. I could not feel the entire left side of my body. When it was explained to me that my condition shared similarities with paralysis, often seen in people who had suffered strokes, my entire career flashed before my eyes. It was a short montage. I was told that moving normally again was possible, but would be a stretch. Standing for long periods of time was unlikely, and performing as I knew it was done. I was not accepting that. So what did I do? I fought my way through physical therapy. I took every opportunity I could to learn more about non-traditional medicine and holistic treatments, and I sprinted to recovery so I could get back out there. Why? Because ultimately, what I had learned, what I had internalized, is that we as performers, as Black people, as queer people, are expendable. We are wholly sacrificable and always have been. Eventually, I made an 80% recovery and I booked the first thing I auditioned for, a musical. It wasn't Broadway, but it was a good start. So I thought. Once tech rehearsals began, my body really started to hurt, and my skin started to do things it had never done before. And suddenly, I was grasping at any and everything to attempt a good night's sleep so I could get through my show the next day. During one of my many healing research binges, I picked up a book on aromatherapy, which led to me buying a collection of essential oils. After another restless night, I took a few of those oils and I blended it with some bath salts I had lying around and soaked in them for a while. I was able to sleep and somehow felt better the next day. I started using this concoction every show day and my body felt 100% better. I gifted jars to my castmates at the time and they all reported diminished joint pain, better sleep, all kinds of physical relief. Every time I felt anxious, doubtful, or even just in pain, I would challenge myself to make something, and a part of me would feel better. I realized I'd hit on something I hadn't before considered was a possibility. There was something else that gave me the same thrill I got from being on stage, that I could mold into whatever I wanted. So one product led to three, and I accidentally wound up founding a skincare company, which led to my new mission, emphasizing the need for artists to learn self-care, teaching them how to care for themselves by caring for their bodies and their skin. So what's this got to do with you, out-of-work performer with no path forward for the foreseeable future? Everything. Does it feel like everyone is failing you? Your industry, your unions, even your own bodies? Maybe it feels as if this invisible monster running the table is a personal failing, especially if you hadn't even touched the dream you had been racing towards for so long before the pandemic hit. But here's the thing about dreams. You can only dream as big as you heal. Now is the time that we heal. Too many people chase their dreams as a means to heal their hurt and trauma, and usually the result is the same problems on IMAX. There is nothing more depressing than having everything you want and still feeling sad. So today, I'd like to offer you some ways to reframe all the inner turmoil with an eye toward prepping you for this next act of your career and your life. First, let's level set. It's time to pop the bubble. There is nothing remotely normal about what we are trying to achieve. In the industry bubble, you're asked to pull off superhuman feats like it's normal. It's not. In our bubble, it is normal for us to get 4 pages of dialogue on 12 hours notice and go in and take people on a whole emotional journey with a stranger as a scene partner who can barely make eye contact. In our bubble, it makes sense for us to show up at 10:30 a.m. on a Tuesday in 20-degree weather and go belt high C's over and over again. Normal people cannot do that. It's extreme. We push our minds and bodies to their limits for a dangled carrot of opportunity that can be yanked away from us for any reason, including the fact that you're a redhead or you're taller than the person they cast before you. And you've been doing this for years. Now, we're mid-pandemic. Every Broadway theater is closed. Your unions don't know what to do. The producers don't know what to do. Maybe it's time for a hard reset. That starts with giving yourself a break. It starts with self-compassion. Next step. At the risk of being the only actor in New York City who's not yet booked Law & Order SVU, open an investigation into yourself. What's really motivating you? Why do you continue to do this? In my case, I recovered from this terrible injury doing this thing that I've always done, pushing myself to every limit, slowly realizing that maybe the performance, the show, the career, it actually wasn't what I valued the most. Once I gave myself the space, I found things that were far more important to me. So ask yourself the tough questions. What secret desire have you been neglecting? What is the other thing that little you love to do? Who gave you the idea that that was no longer feasible? This level of investigation is important so that when you get the call from your union or the producers say they're going to be opening again, you can go in not only ready, but better in a better position to take care of yourself going forward. And you're going to need it because this new reality that you're walking into, it's like nothing you've ever experienced before. Artists are magicians. They're alchemists. I specialize in chemistry now, but where they overlap is that it's all practical magic. We transmute text, sounds, movement into stories. And if, as a collective, we do enough of this inner work when the proverbial and literal house is dark, it can lead to finding answers for the road ahead. But understand, you can't change the paradigm and claim a seat at the table if you cannot be compassionate with yourself. I thought my dream was leading me to the spotlight, when actually, my purpose was in a jar of bath soak. Walking away from that old dream was my first and biggest act of self-compassion. And as it turns out, I actually did make it to Broadway and Madison Square Garden and the Hollywood Bowl. My products have become essential backstage necessities for some of the most celebrated talent in the world. What I realized all these years later is the reason I kept getting those callbacks is the same reason I'm here today. I'm not always the best fit, but I always manage to find my light. I hope you'll do the same. Thank you.